What is going on, everybody? It is Big L here, and I'm bringing you our Week 3 battle and team builder for the WPF Season 8 Gyarados League. This week, we take on Coach Middy and the Collingwood Corviknights. He's had a little bit of a rough start. He's 0-2, but our division's really, really tough, and Middy's a really, really good coach. He's made it to a couple finals in the WPF, and you don't do that unless you're like really, really good. And he's got a super scary team, as you can see in front of him. He's got Tapu Koko, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Mega Aerodactyl, Tangrowth, Druddigan, Gligar, Incineroar, Metagross, Kecleon, Hoopa, and Hitmonlee. First impressions when I looked at the team is that Mega Aerodactyl has very, very little switch-ins, very, very limited switch-ins. I don't switch into Metagross that well. Metagross kind of shuts down a lot of my best offensive mons. Urshifu is always a threat. People kind of overlook how good Urshifu Rapid Strike is just because of how broken Urshifu Single Strike is in draft. Tangrowth, tough to break. Gligar, tough to break. Incineroar, I think, is pretty good against me with Intimidate. And also, Koko is always a problem. When I first looked at the team, I thought the mons I really thought were coming were, I thought Koko would come, Incineroar would come, Metagross would come, and Aerodactyl would come. I thought those four were kind of definite brings for him. After that, I thought Tangrowth would be pretty good for him. I thought Gligar was kind of a 50-50. Hoopa was kind of a 50-50. Druddigan, again, kind of 50-50. I didn't really expect Urshifu or Hitmonlee. My team deals with fighting types pretty well. That's because they had to. If you look at all the fighting types in my division, they're all really, really strong. So if you can't deal with fighting types well in this division, then you're going to have a hard time. But this is Middy's team, and I think we did pretty well in prep. I didn't really care for our matchup too well, honestly. I feel like this Mega Aerodactyl alone is just a huge issue. So we'll go over and we'll look at what I brought for this team. And as you can see, we are bringing the Space Potato again, Deoxys Defense, but this is a little bit different set. We are max HP, 56 Defense, 184 Spadef, 16 Speed, Impish. So what that allows us to do, that Spadef investment allows us to live a Shadow Ball from a Specs Timid Hoopa, which I think would be really, really nice. I think if he brings Hoopa, it'll probably be Specs. Specs Hoopa just has little to no switch-ins on my team. Excuse me. That 16 speed, if you look at my set, we have Thunder Wave, Teleport, Knockoff, and Recover. That 16 speed allows me to outspeed Mega Aerodactyl after it's paralyzed, which could be good if I need to get a little bit of chip off, or if I just want to recover in front of it. So that's the set I was about. I really wanted to fit Spikes on it this week. I think Spikes would have been really, really nice to help with things like Metagross and the Urshifu if he decides to bring it. But I just couldn't fit it on the set. I feel like, Thunder Wave was really, really good. I felt like Knockoff was just really good against his team in general, because even mons that resist it don't want to get knocked off. And then, of course, Recover is just always good to have on a bulky Pokemon. Next up, we got Zach, Mamoswine, rocking the Expert Belt. We are Oblivious this week. That is to basically say, hey, Incineroar, you can come in on me. You're not going to intimidate me. That's fantastic. We are 64 HP, 230 attack, and 216 speed. I wanted that HP investment so I could live a Grass Knot from a Timid Koko, and I took what I couldn't get from the speed I needed out of attack, because it didn't really limit my calcs very much at all to take the rest of what I needed out of attack, and I really wanted to be able to live that if I could. We are rocking Earthquake, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Knockoff. Again, I wish I could have fit Rocks on the set, because I do think Rocks have been good against him. But again, I thought Knockoff's just really good against his team, I feel, and I wanted to be able to knock things off if I got the opportunity. Next up, Jitterbug, the Arachnid, with Water Absorb. This thing is basically here in case he tries to go Bandit or Urshifu Surging Strikes on me. It is max HP, 128 defense, 128 SPDEF, Impish, with Lunge, Sticky Web, Liquidation, and Toxic. The SPDEF allows me to live a non-item boosted T-Bolt from Coco, which is nice. That's what that SPDEF is for. The defense is there. Like I said, it's if he wants to come at me with Urshifu, I can switch this thing in all day. If he goes for close combat, it doesn't do too much. But that's basically my banded Urshifu answer. Next up, we have Soba, the Soba Noodles, making their first appearance, and that is Tangela, rocking the Eviolite with Regenerator. It's max HP, max defense. Not really much to talk about with this set. Knockoff, Leech Seed, Synthesis, Sludge Bomb. I really wanted Synthesis because I feel like this can wall Metagross, this can wall Urshifu, depending on the set. I don't think this could take a lot of close combats, but it can take it could take a few. But this is another Urshifu counter. I'm really and this can take excuse me, let me take a drink real quick. This can take 2 dual wing beats from Mega Aerodactyl, which is crazy. But that's how bulky this thing is with an Eviolite. I can get a Leech Seed off on it and really wear this thing down, stop it from maybe setting up, or make it so if it does set up, it only gets so many turns. Excuse me, I don't know what the heck's going on with me. Sludge Bomb is there, so if I do knock off like the Tangrowth and it's Assault Vest, I can kind of 1v1 their Tangrowth, which is kind of nice. Moving on, we got Mega Diancie coming again. Let me take a drink real quick. We are 104 HP, max special attack, and 152 speed. That speed lets me outspeed the Urshifu. Unfortunately, it has to be timid. Modest max speed Diancie is 3 points slower than Jolly max speed Urshifu, so I had to bring timid, which was really, really a bummer whenever I was calculating. I was like, oh, okay, I was taking the speed off to see how much I needed, and I was like, oh, cool, I might be able to run Modest this week. And no. But with Rock Polish, Moonblast, Diamond Storm, and Earth Power, Earth Power basically ensures that if he tries to switch in the Metagross on this once or twice, I can predict that the following time and go for Earth Power and get a huge chunk of damage off on him. Rock Polish is there. I didn't really know what to bring for a fourth move. I thought about Sub, but I didn't think that was worth it. And Rock Polish basically is if that Metagross is gone, if we get a Rock Polish off, we could kind of just win. If the Metagross is gone and the Tangrowth could be an issue as well. But I just thought, that's a great win con potentially in the back, and maybe this will see the field this week. We brought her the first 2 weeks and she didn't even see the field. And last, but of course not least, we're bringing Silvally again. This is Silvally Ghost this time around. I felt like Ghost kind of hit his whole team, except for like Incineroar, which that's why we have Rock Slide. We are max attack, 192 speed. That is to outspeed Urshifu. That's to outspeed something that's base 90 on his team. I can't remember what. Oh, Hitmonlee. It's to outspeed Hitmonlee. And Jolly Nature, multi attack, Flame Charge, Swords Dance, and Rock Slide. Again, just like in week 1, I feel like if it gets a Flame Charge and a Swords Dance off, this thing can really, really wreck his team. But that'll do it for this part of the video. I'm going to pause for a second, and we will hop into the battle. We'll catch you guys in a second. All right, guys. So here we are in the battle, and I had to do a lot of thinking about the leads in this game, and I think I decided that I was going to lead Tangela. I just looked at his team, and I was just like, what would be the best thing for me to lead? What's the one mon I can lead that doesn't give me the fewest bad matchups? And so I decided that was Tangela. So I just went ahead and I led Tangela, and we'll see what he leads with. And he decides to lead Urshifu. I'm sorry, I didn't go over the teams. My bad. Let's reset it. he brought Tangrowth, Mega Aerodactyl, Metagross, Urshifu Rapid Strike, Hoopa, and Gligar. And as you saw from our team builder, we brought Deoxys, Mamoswine, Araquanid, Tangela, Deancey, and Silvally. So, hopping into it again, sorry about that. He leads the Urshifu, and I lead the Tangela. And I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and go for a knockoff. If he wants to switch something in, if he wants to leave this in and go for something like a close combat or something, I know I can take it. And I can lose that. Maybe if he's choice band, then I can knock off that choice band. Or if he's scarfed, I can knock off the scarf. Or life. Anything I can knock off on this item, on this thing, is really, really good. I almost went for the Leech Seed, but I didn't want him to U-turn into Tangrowth and get nothing out of the turn. So I decided to go for the knockoff, because like I said, even if you U-turn him out into Tangrowth, if I knock it off, I know what kind of set it is. If it's a Rocky Helmet, I know it's a more defensive set. If it's an Assault Vest, then this thing has basically 0 Spadef. But looking at his team comp, I felt like the Tangrowth was probably most likely Spadef. So I went for a knockoff here, as he gets a crit. And that tells me, whenever I looked at the damage from a crit U-turn, that this thing was not fully offensive at all. So it was probably most likely a bulkier Urshifu, which I thought was really interesting. As he goes into the Metagross, and we get the knockoff off. And here I'm praying, please don't be weakness policy. Please don't be weakness policy. And we knock off its leftovers, which is really, really nice. Doing Calcs, I see that this thing couldn't really do too much to me, as it goes for a Toxic, which kind of sucks, but it's not a huge deal. And I get a nice Leech Seed off. So here, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to let the Leech Seed rack up a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and go for a Synthesis, as he goes out into Mega Aerodactyl. And that scares the bejesus out of me. So I know that Deoxys can live a couple hits from this thing. So I'm going to go out into Deoxys. I'm going to try to get a... and I'm going to try to get me a Thunder Wave off on this thing. Sorry, I go for a Leech Seed first. Sorry, because I know I can live a hit. He goes for Dual Wing Beat. And that tells me based on the damage, that it is Jolly. It's not Adamant, which is really, really nice. I was really scared of Adamant Mega Arrow this week. But I knew I could live the hit. So I go ahead and go for the Leech Seed. That means if he is like a setup variant, like I'm constantly getting damage off on it. So here I go out into Deoxys, because I think, okay, now I want to get off a Thunder Wave. As he goes for the Dragon Dance, which is terrifying. But that let me think, you know what? I don't think he's gonna have Roost, because I felt like he needed all of his moves this week. So we keep chipping him down with the Leech Seed, and he goes for a second Dragon Dance. That terrifies me even more. As we go for the T-Wave, and right now I'm wishing I had my normal kind of set with Seismic Toss or Nightshade, because then I could wear this thing down a little bit. Here, I just decided I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to go for a Teleport, because it is in range. At this point, it is in range of an Ice Shard for Mamoswine. And he goes for Roost. So that terrified me. Here, I'm thinking I need to get some full paras, or there's a chance I could get 6-0'd by this thing. So I go right out into this. I'm like, I need to get a full para. I need a full para. And I go for the Ice Shard, get really big damage off on it. And we don't get the full para, and he hits Dual Wing Beat. And Mamoswine, who had a fantastic matchup this week, is just gone. But I needed to get damage off on it. And now he's Leech Seeded, but I don't really have anything that wants to take a hit. If you look at the health of my Pokemon, like Deancey can maybe take a Dual Wing Beat, but I'm assuming he has Earthquake. So here I'm just thinking, okay, what's something that can threaten him, but if it dies, I can kind of live with it, and that's Silvally. Multi-attack should KO it. And so I go out into Silvally, and I think really, really hard about this play too, because I know that at +1, I can outspeed it because it's paralyzed. So I thought really, really hard about going for Flame Charge here. But I was like, no, if he does get fully parried, then I need to take advantage of it. I need to be able to, and if he makes a misplay, in my opinion, and goes for Roost, then I need to be able to claim the KO and keep pressure on him. And that's what happens. He goes for a Roost, which I think was a very, very ballsy play on his part. And we go for the multi-attack, and we do enough that after the leech seed, we get the KO on Mega Aerodactyl, and that's huge. That thing was so threatening. I'm going to take a drink real quick, because the +2 speed basically said, oh, I don't really lose any speed from being paralyzed, and at +2 attack, nothing on my team could take a hit. He could have potentially switched out and saved it, but there was never going to be a point later in the game where he was going to get set up like that again, so I don't blame him for letting it go down. I mean, if I was in his position, I probably would have just kept attacking until I get fully parried. But, you know, he thought he was going to try to keep it around. And at this point, I'm wishing, you know, I'm like, you know, I wish I had gone for Flame Charge because then I could have outsped it the next turn and gone for the multi-attack. I'd have been at +1 speed. But here he goes out into Tangrowth, and I'm like, I'm wondering what kind of set this is. And I'm thinking, oh, knockoff doesn't do too much to me. This thing can't really do that much to me. Maybe I can just go ahead and set up a Swords Dance right in this thing's face. And that's what I do. I'm like, you know what? Why not? Knockoff isn't a 2-hit KO. And that's what happens. And he switches out here. That kind of surprised me. I just go for a multi-attack. And I'm just like, because I expected that to be a 2-hit KO on the Tangrowth. And instead, I get a nice chunk of damage off on the Gligar. And I'm like, I'm just going to keep going for multi-attack. And we take out the Gligar. And Silvally Ghost is putting in the finest amount of work right now. And here he goes out into Hoopa, and that just screams this thing is Choice Scarf to me. Which is fair. Choice Scarf Hoopa was not something that I really prepared for that much. I thought if it came, it would be Specs. But I was like, okay, never mind. It's not a big deal. Araquanid can take, after Leftovers recovery, it can take 3 Shadow Balls. If it's not Specs, Araquanid can just come in, and I can get some nice damage off of Liquidation. I can get some Sticky Webs up. I can Toxic it if I really, really want to. So that's what I do. I'm just going to go ahead and go out into Araquanid as he goes for the Shadow Ball, and he gets a Spadef Drop, which is very unfortunate because, as you can see from the damage, after Leftovers recovery, I live 2 more of those, and we could have gotten some nice damage off on this thing. So here, I'm staying in. Araquanid is my most expendable member, and I'm just going to go ahead and go for a Liquidation here and get some damage off on this thing. And we get a nice chunk off, and it gets a Defense Drop, which doesn't really matter since my priority Mon is gone, and my only real physical attacker is slower than it. Like all my other Pokemon are slower than it. But this could have been huge if I hadn't got that Spadef Drop potentially, because I could have gotten, you know, a really, really nice chunk of damage off on this Hoopa again. And here I decide I'm just going to let Jitterbug go down as he just goes for the Shadow Ball and claims the KO on Araquanid. Araquanid, like I said, it was my least useful member at this point in time, so I just figured I'd let it go down. If he wants to, if he wanted to switch out, maybe fearing something, I don't know. But I went ahead and just let Araquanid go down, and I go out into Deoxys. I know I can live, like I said, I'm EV'd to live a Specs Shadow Ball. I know this isn't Specs based on the damage that it's been doing, and I know I can live any hit it goes for, so I can just get a clean knockoff here on something. As he switches out into Metagross, which is a fair point on his part. I hadn't revealed the knockoff yet, but that was a good scout on his part. I thought about going for the T-Wave, but I was like, nah, I don't really see the point. So the knockoff, like, a nice chunk of damage off of Metagross, and I wanted to wear this Metagross down, because as you can see on my team, I don't have the best answers for it. And so here I'm just like, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and get a Thunder Wave off on it and see what it wants to go for. And he goes for the Zen Headbutt, which doesn't really do much to me, but I can't really threaten this thing anyway. Again, wishing I had Spikes. As he goes for the Toxic, as I go for the Teleport. And I go out into Tangela thinking I'm going to get off a Leech Seed and maybe Synthesis up, which that's what we do. We Synthesis up because I know I'm faster. I was kind of hoping for a full para there, but that's okay. We're just gonna go back and forth here a little bit. As I go for the Leech Seed here, I thought about going for knockoff or another Synthesis because now I'm at a little bit lower health than I was before I even started this interchange. But here, let's go out into the Oxus. If he wants to go for a knockoff, he can go for a knockoff. It's not going to do that much to me. He goes for a Sludge Bomb, which I thought was an interesting play on his part. But he'd go for the knockoff. And that's what I'm going to go for here, as he goes right back out into the Metagross. But again, like I said, I'll take any damage I can get on this, because right now, if I wear this thing down, he's getting into Silvally Flame Charge range. And if Silvally gets a Flame Charge up, that Hoopa cannot come in on me, which is what I'm thinking at this point. If I can get a Flame Charge off on Silvally, then that Hoopa cannot come in on me, which is what I really, really need. I can't have that Hoopa coming in on my Silvally every time. So here, I just decided to recover, see what he wants to go for. Maybe I can snag a para, and I snag the para, which is really, really nice. So here, I just go ahead and go for another knockoff, because I know that'll put it into range for Silvally. And here, instead of going for another recover, which I thought about going for, I go ahead and go for the teleport. Probably should have gone for the recover there, though. But I didn't want to get greedy. And here, I'm in on Silvally, and I get the Flame Charge off, which is huge. I really, really needed that. And now, Hoopa can't come in, and he goes into Urshifu. And here, I thought really, really hard about Swords Dancing. But I could not live a Surging Strikes, so I didn't want to leave it in. So I go out into Tangela as he U-turns. That was a really, really good play on his part. And he goes into Hoopa, and here I have to basically just let something go down. I don't really have much that can live anything from this at this point. So here I have to just let Deoxys go down, and Deoxys dies for the first time this season, which is really unfortunate. So, excuse me. So here I go out into Tangela again, because I know I can live a hit from this thing, and I just go for the knockoff. And we knock off the Tangrowth Assault Vest, which is huge. So here, I know that knockoff is kind of free for him here. I thought really hard about going into Silvally, but I didn't. I knew that just kind of welcomed in Hoopa. It kind of welcomed in Urshifu. And I knew I could live the knockoff, but I couldn't live two more. I don't think. I think living two more would have been a roll. So I'm just going to go for a Sludge Bomb, get some damage on this thing. Maybe I can get it in range of a Flame Charge plus multi-attack from Silvally. And we get a nice chunk of damage off with Sludge Bomb. And we get the Poison, as he does go for the knockoff. And that makes Soba much less useful now that it doesn't have its Eviolite. But here I just go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and switch out to Silvally Ghost, as he goes for hopefully another Sludge Bomb. And that's what we get. But we get Poison. That Poison is really, really unfortunate. But we snagged one last turn, so we can't complain. So here I go ahead and I go for the Flame Charge. And it does 0 to Urshifu. And we do see that it is leftovers. And what that tells us is that what that damage told us is that this thing has a lot of bulk. If it was like just a max attack, max HP Urshifu, it still should have done like 7%. So we know this thing has a lot of bulk, a lot of defense investment. It's not just max attack, max HP. We knew it wasn't max attack based on the damage it's done, but now we have confirmation that it is a bulkier set. So I go ahead and just go for the multi-attack here as we get a crit. That crit doesn't really matter as he goes for another U-turn. And he goes out into Tangrowth here. So I just decided, I need to go for the multi-attack, and I needed to hope that I got maybe a crit or something there. As he goes for the Sludge Bomb, and he KOs the Silvally, and that was a bummer. Because I needed Silvally to get the +1, and hopefully that checked Hoopa. Because the damage on Urshifu wasn't that important. Just because I didn't have a grass attack on Tangela. I was really wishing at this point in the game I had a grass attack on Tangela. I wish I had Giga Drain or something. But it was always in Moonblast range from Mega Diancie. So here I think really, really hard about what I want to go into here. I really was thinking about going into Diancie and trying to set up a Lock Polish and going for game. But since I don't have a grass move on Tangela, and since Tangela doesn't have his Eviolite anymore, I can't live a Shadow Ball for Hoopa. If Tangela still had its Eviolite, that's probably what the play I would have gone for, which was going into Deancey and clicking Rock Polish. But since I didn't have a grass move, I didn't have my Eviolite, I had to go into Tangela here because I knew I outsped the Tangrowth. And I knew that a Sludge Bomb would do huge damage to me, so I couldn't just recover. Synthesis and try to get healthy because I knew he'd just go for a Sludge Bomb. As Tangela takes out Tangrowth, and here he goes Hoopa, and I go for knockoff here, hoping maybe he misplays or maybe my calcs are just wrong, and there's a universe where Tangela can live this hit, but it doesn't. Obviously, Hoopa's really, really strong, and basically it comes down to what moves does this Hoopa have? Can I set up a rock? Can I try to set up a Rock Polish, or do I get a defense boost from Diamond Storm? Here I just I decide to go for the Diamond Storm here. And we do very, very little. That tells us this Urshifu has a lot of defense investment. So I was running calcs, and at this point in time, it looked like even if he had a lot of bulk on this Urshifu, which we knew he did, Aqua Jet plus Shadow Ball was a roll in my favor, but a roll to KO Mega Deancey. I thought really, really hard about clicking Rock Polish here, but even with 0 attack investment, Surging Strikes always KO'd me here, and I couldn't risk that. I don't know what the Hoopa had. I figured if he goes for Aqua Jet and I go for Moonblast, that gives me a roll to kill. I have to hit a Diamond Storm. Diamond Storm always kills Hoopa, but it's a roll for his Shadow Ball to kill me. So I figured that gave me the best chance to win. And here he goes. He does go for the Aqua Jet, and we're at 62%. Here I'm feeling pretty good because the max roll Hoopa can do to me with a Shadow Ball, I believe, is 61%. So I'm feeling pretty good at this point because we go ahead, we get the knockout with Mavis, and he goes out into Hoopa, and here I'm thinking it's a roll, or I have to hit Diamond Storm. But the Hoopa reveals Energy Ball, a move I didn't even know Hoopa got, and that's GG to Middy. He played really, really well. I think he kind of got a little flustered with the Mega Aerodactyl plays, but after he recovered from that, he played extremely well. That Scarf Hoopa was a great ring for him. Losing Mamo early really, really hurt me. Mamo was a really big part of my game plan coming into this game, and honestly, I kind of thought I lost early. I kind of thought there was a chance that unless I get a few full pairs, that Mega Aerodactyl was going to sweep me. But we kind of pulled it back, and we had a good chance to win. If I'm ballsy enough to click rock Polish on one of those first two turns that Mega Deancey is in, then I win the game. If I can hit Diamond Storm, or if I just click Moonblast, the first turn that it was in. But no use in going back and thinking about stuff like that. We take the 1-0 loss. So we go to 2-1 for the season. We go 2-1 in our division, which is good. That's good. I believe that's tied for the best record in the division. And we beat the other two people in the division, so we're technically first in the division. We have a +9 differential through 3 weeks. If you told me, hey, you're gonna have a +9 differential through 3 weeks, I would definitely have taken it. And again, GG's to Middy. If you liked, please like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment on what you thought of the team, what you thought of the battle. And I'm also going to have links in the description to the WPF Discord. If you're not from there, want to come check it out. It's a really chill group. I'm going to have links down below to all the other content creators in the WPF. So make sure you go check all of them out. They're all better than me, and they all make better content than me. So feel free to check all of them out, and we will see you guys next time. Have a good one.